Welcome. My name is Dr. Kathleen Thimsen, and I am the Program Director for the UNLV School of Nursing Doctorate of Nursing Practice Program. My colleague with me today is Christine Lamb, and she is a very important person. She's helped to keep me sane and organized, and she will do the same for you as we move forward with your enrollment, should you decide to go ahead and apply to the program. I'd like to give you a rundown and some background on the program to help you be comfortable in assessing what our program offers and what your needs might be. And then we'll have Christine talk about admission processes and next steps, and then we'll open it up for questions, if everyone's okay with that. And I believe Christine's going to be helping me with advancing the slides. And in addition, we'll both kind of be monitoring the chat should you have some questions. So again, welcome to the Spring 2021 information session. We're very happy that you've joined us today. Okay, Christine. So just to kind of go over what is the Doctorate of Nursing Practice, or the DNP, because there is some confusion about it, but just so you know what you're getting into and the opportunities that it will unfold for you, which are many, many, many. It is considered a professional terminal degree. It is considered just as highly as an EDD, an educational doctorate, or a philosophy of nursing doctorate, a PhD. And it's equivalent to an MD in terms of being the terminal degree. So the program, though, is set up to prepare the nurse to pursue and be successful in either advanced practice or executive management, leadership roles, clinical quality improvement roles, policy and analyst types of positions, and a plethora of other career options that many of us haven't even thought about yet, but yet you will be prepared to embark upon. The DNP is your key to starting an exciting and fulfilling journey in a very much growing and evolving specialty within nursing. The DNP program prepares you to be an expert in systems science, and that's where the leadership of and the framing of our future healthcare system and healthcare delivery services will come into play. And you will be on the cutting edge of having that knowledge and those skills and competencies. It's progressive, innovative, and you will be embarking upon designing and developing with a team of people that are here to be supportive of you and help you on your DNP journey to create transformative projects that you identify that you are interested in, potentially programs and then other opportunities that you would like to study in your quest to achieve your Doctorate of Nursing Practice. And then certainly you can set your trajectory or your framework for your future work as well. The DNP is designed in an evidence-based science and practice setting. So that means that everything that we will be working on together in your projects, interventions, in your clinical research, will be coming from the literature and all the different sciences, and we will be using an interprofessional science body of knowledge. It won't just be limited to nursing, certainly. The aim of this program is to study, and so you as a DNP would be able to study and improve clinical gaps that you've identified, methods, and or technology that can advance quality, safe patient care at the bedside, or even at a systems or higher level. Christine? So just to go over what the University of Nevada, Las Vegas School of Nursing mission statement is to educate nurses at the undergrad and graduate levels to meet healthcare needs in Nevada and beyond. The School of Nursing promotes, improves, and sustains human health through evidence-based education and advances in research and practice. The school's vision is to shape the future of nursing education, research, and practice. Our purpose is that the School of Nursing graduate program is designed to provide students pursuing a career in nursing the opportunity to acquire the knowledge, skills, and abilities, and those are considered the competencies, that are all requisite to safe, effective, and efficient advanced practice of nursing. And our motto is, nurse leaders begin here. Just to mention that University of Nevada, Las Vegas, our top tier initiative to be achieved by 2025 is to be considered a top research university, such as designated by the Carnegie Foundation, which is, we want to achieve the R1 university as a very high research activity status university. And we are on our way there and in good form to achieve that in 2025. And with your help and participation, we will get there. So just to kind of talk about how the School of Nursing addresses education, both at undergraduate and graduate level, is that we have 4 pillars, or 4 cornerstones, if you will, of our programs. And the first pillar is that we are dedicated to and very committed to advancing student achievement through a variety of resources, such as your first line of support here and advancement for achievement is Christine. And there are a whole team behind her as well that you will meet along your journey. So that's a huge commitment. Our pillar 2 speaks to promoting research, scholarship, and creative activities. And in our nursing school, some of our nurse scientists are really engaged in some very active research in a wide variety of topics, anywhere from cardiac biomarkers to CTE and its potential to be screened at a very early stage and identified to promote and decrease injury and harm to those patients who have had head injuries. And then all of us in the School of Nursing with scholarship do advocate and do participate in contributing to the literature through publications and podium presentations. And again, part of this is what we want to offer you as our students. Just as a sideline, just this past month in February, we were able to sponsor 12 of our graduate students, so 6 PhD students and 6 DNP students, to a regional conference on nursing research. And it featured and showcased our students' research in their DNP project. So we really want to help you be successful. Pillar 3 is to create an academic health center, and that's an initiative taking place on campus with medicine, physical therapy, all the allied sciences, the law school, as well as the nursing school. And it will be run by our faculty and our students. And that will become an area where we can garner some additional resources to support nursing research. And our 4th pillar is really important, and that's really kind of where this DNP program can really focus, is that we really foster community partnerships, because we know that about 3% of the time that patients are in a health system, or rather the amount of time that patients are in a health system, it's about 3% of their overall time. And subsequently, most of the care, most of the preventative aspects, a lot of the supportive health literacy and health education, primary, secondary, and tertiary prevention takes place in the community. And as the hospital systems dwindle in terms of bed size out of necessity, once we're past COVID, we will be seeing much more care delivered in the home, in the community environment, and in the home. So that creates an opportunity for DNPs to really look at population health in terms of your projects. And that's sort of a focus that we like you to consider when you're designing your project. Next. So the School of Nursing operates on a bit of a different calendar. We run on a trimester basis, and our terms do not necessarily align with the UNLV calendar. But just to give you kind of a picture of how it falls in terms of your timing and commitment, the fall term would be if you should decide to apply to this particular rotation. This cohort that we're talking about admitting you all to potentially would begin in September of 21, and that first term would end in December. The spring term starts in January and extends through April, and then summer term is May through August. So that, and this is fairly consistent regardless of what year it is. And of course, built into each of those trimesters are days that are holidays or break times or something like that. So again, if you're interested, we can refer you to a calendar to really hone in and identify the actual dates. Next. So when you're looking at a DNP program, you want to make sure that the school that you're applying to or interested in is an accredited school. And so I wanted just to speak to the fact that our standards meet the American Academy of Colleges of Nurses, and we are accredited by the CCNE. Our program is designed to meet the essentials of doctoral education for advanced practice, which includes not just advanced practice, but also the nurse executive. And we currently are looking at, we do meet the AACN's 2015 white paper criteria, but we also know that in probably March or April, there will be some revisions to these essentials. And so we're just waiting to do any revisions that we might have to do. But as such, be assured that the school that you're looking at here at UNLV is an accredited school and follows the federal or the national standards. So in looking at the essentials of doctoral education for a DNP, we have a number of underpinnings. So we use the scientific underpinnings for practice, as I alluded to in the previous slide. Secondly, we really immerse our students in understanding organizational and systems leadership to include quality improvement and systems thinking, because that's where our healthcare at an advanced level has gone and will be continuing to be involved with. We look at clinical scholarship and analytical methods for evidence-based practice. So the curriculum that we'll go through, the plans of study in just a few minutes, you will see that there are a number of courses designed to help you to really become immersed and understand the evidence-based practice literature through doing your review of the literature when you're working on your projects. So you really get enriched and a rich amount of data for which to build your project in, and then certainly it will give you some help in terms of how to analyze that data. The next part of the essentials focuses on information systems technology and patient care technology that is used to improve and transform healthcare. And when you're looking at your project, always know that you're going to be using some sort of information system or technology to gain a lot of your data. So this is how we meet that particular essential. Next. Because nurse leaders, whoops, can you go back? Thank you. Because nurse leaders are just that, nurse leaders, We do have a course that you would be taking that looks at health policy as it relates to healthcare. And I think more than ever, one of the positive things with COVID has been that nurses have become advocates at a policy level and now are very much involved in creating that policy. So we as nurse leaders need to understand the power that we have and the importance of our voice. So this is a big component that we look at through and help you through, learn about, and become comfortable and confident in advocating for health policy and understanding those policies. Of course, because all of you are highly experienced and you wouldn't be in this information session today if you weren't aware of the fact that we all have to really work on interprofessional collaboration. And as nurses, all of us know that we do collaborate across the spectrum of disciplines that we encounter. So in this way, the courses that you would be taking speak to that, and it really talks about looking at who those professions and disciplines are that collaboration is out there with. And when you do your project, you will be incorporating those types of collaborative processes with folks, depending again on where your patient or your population health outcomes that you're wanting to achieve come into play. Of course, we know that prevention costs 10% of what intervention costs, and we know that in the United States, our health system is one of the more expensive in around the globe. So one of our focuses here is to mitigate harm and really look at clinical prevention and population health, because we know we have a diverse set of populations, and each of these populations represent some nuances, whether it be cultural, whether it be economic, somewhere on the spectrum of the social determinants of health, which will become a term that you will probably dream about at night. But we need to understand how those social determinants really impact people's ability to access and then to fully utilize healthcare. So this will also help you in designing a very strong program of study for your DNP project. And then certainly looking at the role and the transformation that you would be going through, going from a master's degree into a terminal degree at a doctoral level. Next. So that just kind of looked at the skeleton of how we built the program. And then these are the outcomes that are correlated with that framework. And then subsequently, our curriculum is built around this to help you achieve this, but providing you the advanced nursing, the ability to provide care to improve patient and population health care outcomes in various direct and indirect settings. Take leadership roles in the analysis, delivery, and management of nursing care and healthcare systems, to provide evidence-based practice through the application of analytic methods, information system technology, and clinical research. And I think I'm probably speaking to the choir of all of you when we talk about information system technology, analytical methods, and the use of data that you likely use every day. This will get you enmeshed and immersed into it a little bit deeper to understand more of the significance and the breadth of what we can actually predict or help to avoid. Collaborating again with interprofessional teams to meet the healthcare needs of culturally and ethnically diverse individuals and populations. And then basically one of the keys is that you will become a change agent and a leader and an advocate in the design, implementation, and evaluation of policy and systems change as it affects these populations. And overall, it's your contribution to the nursing profession. Next, please. So to talk a little bit about what happens when you're in the program, these are some basic UNLV and School of Nursing requirements or guidelines. So in order to be a student in good standing, you must maintain a cumulative grade point average of 3.0 or a B or above every semester that you're enrolled. You must receive a grade of B or above in all the required nursing courses. If it's less than a B, say a B minus, the student may have to repeat the course, will have to repeat the course. And you can repeat a course, but only one time. The student needs to register for any course that's offered, and you will be getting a plan of study, and that plan, which I'll show you a little bit about what that looks like in a moment. And when we give you this plan of study, it's intentionally designed to help build your knowledge base and your skills relative to developing your DNP project and executing it. So there's a sequence to it. So we try to keep you on that path, on that plan as much as we possibly can. And I would say 99% of the students are consistent and compliant with staying on that plan. But we work very closely with you to make things work for you. If you have registered for the same course twice and you have withdrawn or received a grade of less than a B, that is ineligible for readmission if you would be dismissed from the graduate college. But you can appeal to the graduate college and be allowed to continue into the program. There's just a process involved with that. We do expect, because the DNP program as a doctoral program is really designed to be accomplished within a 2-year period max. And in some cases, some people have completed DNPs in a year. I think it's a stretch with working professionals, but I do know people who have done it. Personally, I took the full 2 years. And when you compare that to another type of doctoral program, which are typically, 3 to 5 year programs, it does mean that you are packing a lot of information into a short period of time. But I can tell you personally, I did it, and I would do it again. I would do it again. But in order to stay active in the program, the university and the School of Nursing requires that you complete a minimum of 6 degree program credits per calendar year. So that kind of averages out to 3 credits per semester, basically. And that would be just if you took those 3 credits per semester and only did 2 semesters. And then that we require that you are in compliance with the UNLV and School of Nursing requirements and guidelines, which we can make available to you. It's, I think you finished a master's degree, so you pretty much know what most of those requirements are. And again, these are dictated to us and regulated by AACN, CCNE, and state boards of nursing. Yes, Christine. So what we have to offer you is we have right now our MSN to DNP curriculum, and we have 2 tracks. We have a track for advanced practice nurses, and that total program consists of completing at a minimum 31 credit hours. Our other program is the Nurse Executive Program, which has 32 hours of credit associated with that. Next slide. So this is the progression, or this is the list of courses that you would take if you are in the MSN to DNP advanced practice track. So if you're in the advanced practice track, the importance, one of the important aspects to complete your admission requirement is that you have an active advanced practice license, and that has to be submitted to us for approval, and we have to validate that you actually have that in order to be accepted into this program. In this program, as well as the executive program, we have core courses. So the first course is a translational evidence course, which really sets you up to understand the literature. We just recently changed that course a little bit, so you'll get some statistics built into that course as well. Don't freak out. Don't let that be a deal breaker for you. You'll get through it, and it's not heavy into biostats or anything like that, but it's operational. And if you're working with a master's at this point, you've A, probably had statistics before, and B, you probably work with data every day to analyze, looking at QI programming or other types of quality initiatives within your hospitals. But everyone takes that. We have a collaboration, communication, and negotiation for the nurse executive. DNP forum and a role transformation that just talks about transitioning and all the different avenues that you as a DNP can peruse and consider. The 788 course is a DNP project. So this is where you develop your project of study, something that you're interested in. And I'm going to come back to this course in just a minute. So those are your core courses, or your required courses that really garner you some good foundations. In addition to those core courses, you have an additional 14 hours of study that's distributed through analysis and economics, so you understand the whole financial and economic aspects of the healthcare systems and health policy implications. You will look at strategies for managing healthcare systems and performance improvement, looking at business management. And I think as advanced practice nurses, you can never learn enough about business, coding, collections, and billing, and ways to figure out pretty much your worth and put value to it. We do have you take a course in population health, where you're analyzing and evaluating various aspects of population health. And then the health policy and public policy for advanced practice nurses. So that gives you an additional 14 hours to get you to your 31 credits. Next slide. So the nurse executive basically has the same core courses. And then also the nurse executive has additional courses that are a little bit more focused on a nurse leader. So organizational management, healthcare issues in the law, talking about and really kind of getting more immersed into what constitutes and how do you measure health outcomes. Obviously developing your leadership strengths, and then financial theory and budget management within the health system. And then we do have an elective in leadership as well that you can take, and that gives you your extra 15 hours to achieve your 32 credits. Next slide. So the course I mentioned before is called Course 788, Nursing 788. And this is a course that has 3 different sections to it. So you will take 788 a total of 3 times. And in that course, you'll take it, this is a clinical hours that you'll be achieving with this course. But the first course is when you're taking your PICO question, and we'll talk about that in a minute. And you're really going to develop that into a full-blown proposal, and then create how you're going to, your protocol for your study, your project, and then you'll be putting a timeline to it, potentially maybe building a budget around it if that requires that. and then creating your IRB, or your institutional review board, because all of these do involve some degree of human subject research, whether it's patient focused or whether it's staff focused or whether it's faculty or student focused. So we do have to get, and you would be mentored on applying for an IRB approval. All of our projects are, and I'm having an upcoming discussion with the folks about this, but most DNP projects are exempt from a full review. So it's merely submitting your written proposal with some of your instruments for how you're going to collect data, how you're going to inform your subjects, whoever your subjects are that you're going to be collecting data from, and then what are your human rights protections. And again, you're coached through that process, and you are required to take what is called CITI, it's CITI, training, if you haven't already done that. So that would be your first 788. At the end of that first 788, you do have a presentation to present, and that is considered your proposal defense. So you're defending what you are proposing to do in your project, basically. The second 788 that you take is when you're going to be implementing your project. So you're going to be going back, let's say I'll use my example of what I did. I did emergency department training on the clinical identification and differential diagnosis of elder abuse, to rule out age-related changes and comorbidities. So in that phase, I worked with the hospital and implemented the training program, trained all the nurses and the physicians in the EDs, and then collected that data. And then basically you analyze that data when you're going into your third semester of 788. And that's where you then analyze and synthesize your data. And then you culminate your whole project in terms of developing a manuscript or a paper. And also the second part of that is you do another project defense. And the project defense, I don't want you to get twiddlated about, these defenses that you have to do. All it is a PowerPoint presentation to a group of folks. And right now we're online, and my suspicion is we will likely stay online to do these defenses. And then once you defend your project and you present all your data and the significance of it, then your committee that you would be working with, and I'll talk about that in a second, would be working with you to get your paper finished and then to turn your paper, all of your documentation in for graduation. Because once you've defended, you go off of the presentation call line, so to speak, and subsequently your committee discusses how your project went, your data, your defense of the data, and then awards you to be a candidate for a doctoral degree. And the next step is the documentation you turn into UNLV to process your graduation, and you have accomplished that. The hours that you're accruing doing the project work in the 3788 courses are logged into eValue, and this is a online system where it tracks your time, and there are tutorials that are going to be built into this to help you to make it as easy as possible. And then those hours, once you develop or you input those hours into eValue, your DNP project mentor that you are already assigned will be signing off on those hours. Christine? So just to say what the DNP project is, it is not a dissertation type of a research project. Rather, it it's looking at, again, practice gaps that are translational in nature. Um, we require that you do a presentation, and that in doing that presentation, you've collaborated with an organization where you want to do your project. So maybe it's the place that you work. Maybe it's a place that you'd like to work, and you can help them. Maybe it's an organization or an agency that you have volunteered with. Maybe it's something that you want to explore that you never explored before. So basically, you identify an agency to work with and collect your data with, and then you execute that. So we're not trying to, in this program, develop new scientific findings, but rather to solve a problem that exists using evidence and to improve practice. Maybe it's patient flow, maybe it's outcomes, maybe we have one student now that is working on hers that will actually help to solidify 3 new nursing roles in interventional radiology. So there's a lot of different ways that I'll say it this way, slice and dice these projects when you have the interest in it. And unlike a dissertation, this work has many, many forms that you can take to achieve whatever it is that you want your project to produce. It's a practice change initiative that can be represented by a program eval or a QI project, evaluation of a new practice model. Maybe it's a consulting project for you. And maybe it's an integrated critical literature review. You can look at other people's DNP projects, and you can choose to replicate a project if that's what you would like to do, if that meets your needs. And then, of course, there's many more options potentially with this new DNP Essentials that are coming out. But for right now, this is what we have just gone over is what the curriculum would be looking like for you. You would not be subject to these changes should you come into the fall program. So everything I've outlined for you at this point would be consistent with your plan of study. Next. So to understand a bit about the DNP project framework and applying evidence-based practice to improve care and health systems, we use the PICO model. And PICO is an acronym for the way we formulate our research question clinically. So we look at the population, we identify and describe the intervention, we have a comparison, maybe our intervention against no intervention, or maybe against another intervention. We collect the outcome data, so that's a big piece that will help you to really cultivate and grow your own mind in looking at what is an outcome and how do we measure this thing? How do we really measure what we achieved with patient care? And then the T is a really simple variable here. It's the time. So this would occur within the time frame of typically your second and third time of taking that course 788 that we just briefly spoke about. Slide. So anytime we look at student success, we want to give you an idea of the resources we have, and we have a DNP project handbook that is currently being revised, but basically it'll serve as your roadmap to designing, developing, implementing, analyzing, and defending your DNP project. And again, I want you to know that you're not out there doing this by yourself. You've got a team, committee working with you. And then once you're registered in 788, this handbook will be in your Canvas course. And Canvas is our learning management system that we use. So again, just to kind of point out the important points in your DNP journey, The first time you take 788, that's where you're going to defend your proposal and what you want to do. And when you go do that defense of the proposal, you've really already worked it through with your project mentor and then the two people on your committee that help you to establish the design and development of the project. We kind of talked about this in terms of you go through the IRB in your second course of 788, and then your final course is when you do your defense. And typically that's your last semester in the program. What you'll put into that, there is a rubric about your project and this final presentation, but basically what you're going to talk about is what your project implementation, how that went, what you did, your data collection, a statistical analysis of your data, and what are your findings. And that again culminates in that oral presentation. And those presentations are between 20 and 30 minutes. And we're doing them via online at this point. And then the second piece that's deliverable by the end of your last term is you do develop a final manuscript or a paper, if you will. And then once you have that paper approved by your committee, just so you know, that becomes a manuscript that gets sent to the UNLV library, and your manuscript is actually archived into a book, hardbound book, that is always housed at UNLV library. And when I did mine, I didn't realize that that was going to be in our library at my graduating doctoral program, but it is. And then you'll get updates on a routine basis of how many people have looked at it, how many people have cited your work. So it's really pretty incredible, and it's really highly motivating and gets you really excited. Slide. So some of the habits, just time commitments and time requirements for an online course. I think now that everything is online in the last year, I think that online learning is really kind of been honed pretty good. And I know that UNLV nursing, we are all completing a course called Quality Matters, which really gears up and assesses courses online to make it much more student focused, student centered, and easier to navigate. So be aware that we are very committed to doing that. Create some of the things you might want to do are to create a master calendar with all the assignments, due dates, time to accomplish studies, family commitments, work obligations, and just as a kind of a skeleton, so you can kind of keep focus and keep moving the cheese ahead, so to speak, and stay on top of your work, because the terms go by pretty fast. And then to establish a realistic plan for including study and coursework. There is a lot of reading that you do in a doctoral program and writing. So just be aware of that. We do use the APA style manual, and we are now using edition 7. And if you don't have a current 7, there were a lot of changes in 7. And I would highly encourage you to get the, you can buy it online. I mean, that you have a digital copy, but I use one, I have a digital copy, but I also use one that's got a spiral bound, like a notebook, and it has really nice tabs that they've already incorporated when you buy it. So that's very helpful. And it's been very helpful to me to use those tabs. Helps you access things much quicker. And then critically analyzing your own writing capabilities and making appropriate adjustments. And truthfully, we do have a writing center. So if you need help with that and your project mentor or your committee, if you're not feeling comfortable with utilizing them for analyzing your writing, you can go to the writing center. It's very, very helpful. Slide. Yes, and communication is key. And with you know, as nurses, we know that you got to communicate with each other. You really have to be closely tied to your instructors. I am always available for you. Uh, to help you in any way that I can. Our Director of Student Services, Elizabeth Garner, and our graduate program support staff are all here to help you. And like I said before, I can't speak highly enough about Christine, because she will help you navigate the first end of this. And then she passes you off to Ms. Gardner and to your faculty mentor. Life happens, and certainly we've all learned that in the last year. And we want to help you to be successful, but we can't help if we don't know what's going on in your world. So please communicate and let us know, whatever it is. And the university is pretty flexible in terms of meeting student needs, because as that particular bullet started out, life happens and we're realists. Next. Collaboration. So this is an important aspect for you to think about, and you are always in charge of how your project develops. First of all, I'm going to pass on information my mentor gave me. She said, you don't have to solve world peace with your DNP, but when you're picking your project, pick something that you really, really love. Because if you don't, at the end, you will hate it. In the middle of your DNP program, you will want to jump off a bridge. So just pick something that you love and that you feel passionate about. You will establish your work with the help of a DNP project mentor, and that is a faculty, a graduate faculty within the School of Nursing that is actually assigned, and it's my responsibility and our Associate Dean of Faculty Affairs. We work together to assign a project mentor to you, and we will be trying to align your area of interest, if possible, with a project mentor. In addition to that project mentor, you have two additional committee members. One is another faculty from the School of Nursing, and one is from the UNLV Graduate College. And there is an approved list of faculty who have this status. So your mentor can guide you to that list to help you identify who you want as your third committee member. And then, of course, if you have need for a subject matter expert potentially, or you need someone who maybe understands, I don't know, let's just talk about genetic markers, and that's your committee doesn't have someone who is versed in genetics or genomics, we will make every effort to connect you with another team member who can serve as an advisor to your project, but they would not be a committee member. They would only be an external or a consulting advisor. And just to reiterate, I cannot tell you enough, we are here to help you be successful. We want you to be successful. Next. Christine, I'm going to turn it over to you.
All right, so the fun part. So you've heard about the DNP program, and you've seen why it might be a good fit for you. Now you want to know, how can you apply and get started? So just so you know, our applications are due April 1st, so you have a little less than a month, but it should be plenty of time for you to go ahead and get started. You would apply to our program through the graduate college by filling out their application and by selecting School of Nursing and the Postmaster's DNP, whether advanced practice or nurse executive. You would also simultaneously be applying to the School of Nursing, so it's just one application. If you have unofficial transcripts, we encourage you to upload those into your application. As long as they're complete and legible, we can see GPAs and read the transcripts well. If you need to provide official transcripts because you don't have unofficial transcripts, that's okay too, and you would send them to the grad college, and we can always direct you. You can either use that future students link that you see there, or you can always reach out to me and I can always direct you on how to send them either electronically or through the snail mail. And for anybody who has education from outside of the United States, you would need to go or undergo a course-by-course evaluation and get a US equivalent GPA through a member of NACIS, and we have that website for you there. So that NACIS website has about 15 or so members that are acceptable by the university, so you want to make sure you're using one of them. Again, if you have an unofficial foreign credential evaluation and it's legible, that's something that you can go ahead and upload to your application. We do need the first and last names as well as the email addresses of 3 professional references. And you want to select individuals who can speak to your ability to be in a graduate program, a doctoral program specifically. So this individual, it may be someone who has a supervisory role over you. It could be a former faculty member if you've kept in touch with any of your professors from your master's program. We do encourage you to make sure that your recommendations or your recommenders rather are from within the last 5 years. Again, someone that can really speak to your ability to not only be in a doctoral program, but can see you in this future role holding a DNP and what you might do with that DNP afterwards. We definitely recommend staying away from having your peers, family, your neighbor from down the block. We don't want to see those. Again, we want to see some strong letters of recommendation. And then just to make sure, I want to reiterate, since we do ask for the emails, those emails are used to generate a email to that recommender. So you want to make sure that you have the correct spelling of that email address to make sure that that recommender receives the further instructions so that they can upload their letter on your behalf. We do require that you submit a copy of your RN licensure or RN licensure verifications, okay as well. And if you're applying to the advanced practice track, you can provide a copy of your APRN license. And if you're a nurse executive, you can provide your nurse executive certification or proof of eligibility for certification. Did you want to add anything, Dr. Thimsen, before I move on?
No, I'll just reiterate about your letters of recommendation. You really need them to be at a higher level than, like as Christine said, and we get a lot of applications that have letters from neighbors or friends or, your minister at church or something. So to be successful through the application process, try to connect with a former faculty member that you had or a supervisor at your school, your place of employment.
Thank you. Okay. And we do look for a minimum of a 3.5 GPA from your MSN program on a 4.0 scale. We do ask that you upload a current and up-to-date CV into your application, so making sure you're highlighting any awards, leadership activity, scholarship activity. We want to see everything that you're doing in your professional career. Once you submit the application and you pay that application fee, within 24 hours, you're going to get an email from Cura Talent inviting you to conduct your video interview. This is a pre-recorded interview, and it will give you several different prompts for you to respond to. And these prompts are broad enough that you very well could see these questions in a job interview to give you a little idea of what would be included in there. And there is going to be a time limit on how long you have to respond. So you want to make sure you're paying attention to that time limit and giving a concise enough response that you are not going to get cut off because you've exceeded that time limit. But you also want to make sure that you're utilizing a majority of that time limit to give a wholesome response. So it's about finding that balance. And then we're going to ask you to write a statement of intent, which is going to be a maximum of 500 words, going to speak to what your career objectives and areas of interest are in advanced practice or leadership roles, the reason that you're pursuing the doctoral degree, and why are you choosing UNLV specifically? And you also want to focus on some past experiences and achievements that you've had in nursing practice, leadership, and scholarship. And this is going to be a really big piece. It's one of the pieces that you have control over in your application, right? Can't do anything about your transcripts, but you can be purposeful in who you select for your letters of recommendation. You can be purposeful in your Kira video interview, and then you have an opportunity to really make a big impact with your statement of intent. And Dr. Thimsen, if you want to add anything about any of these items, you're welcome to.
This is a time to really speak to who you are and what you've accomplished and what you hope to accomplish. So don't be shy, is all I can say.
Great, thank you. And that's really, the bulk of the what's required for admissions when we're reviewing. And you'll have access in your Grad Rebel Gateway, which is where you're going to do your application, to be able to see what these items are. And as you're fulfilling them, they're going to start to disappear from your to-do list. Again, I'll reiterate that unofficial transcripts are okay. So sometimes you'll still see that it says awaiting official transcripts. And as long as we have unofficial ones and they are approved by the grad college, then those are okay. And then if you're offered admissions, then you would give the grad college official transcripts. Okay. And